Give them a second chance, so says Minister without portfolio in the Ministry of National Security in charge of the correctional institutions, Matthew Samuda. Mr. Samuda was referring to ex-convicts and how giving them a second chance will only help the country at large.
Stacey Garvey, now an author and founder of the resurrected Garvey Ministry that was set up to serve prisoners. But 15 years ago, Ms. Garvey was walking a different road, one which landed her in prison where she spent 3 out of a 10-year sentence. She says her life was messy from the beginning.
I suffered rejection early, led to serious depression. I was an alcoholic very early, had about 8 to 9 abortions. I was a drug addict. I started in criminal activity while working for a company. Ended up in prison. Those were, some of what I would call the messy experiences.
Miss Garvey has been out of prison for 8 years now, but says very often it feels no different from being locked away. Miss Garvey says she has since found out that people can be very unforgiving, and that includes the church.
I've often said that the greatest incarceration that I faced was never in prison, but coming home and, being marred or being, not being given a second chance by persons. There are persons that believe that, what you've done should be held over your head for the rest of your life.
Minister without portfolio in the Ministry of National Security in charge of the correctional institutions, Matthew Samuda, is urging the society to readjust to see former convicts in a different light. For him, it will help not only to cut down on the rate of convicts getting into more trouble after being released from prison, but also that it will help with growing the economy.
It's not so much taking a chance, it's about making an investment in your own future, because we won't break the back of the crime monster without dealing with the reoffending rate. And one of the ways that we're going to have to break the reoffending rate is to give people a second chance.
Mr. Samuda says ex-convicts seeking jobs in a challenging competitive market are already at a disadvantage. So, he says, the correctional institutions are modifying their programs to better prepare inmates to cope on their departure from prisons.
Simply teaching someone how to be a hairdresser or a barber isn't going to work. We have to teach them how to go down to the parish council and how to register, to become compliant. We have to teach them if they're keeping a dance, how they go and apply for a permit. We have to teach them if you're going to be a welder, how you do your business card, how you go and introduce yourself to prospective developers and construction companies. So we have to take it a step further, because they are starting in many ways in a softened labour market with greater challenges.
Kirk Wright, TVJ News.